Good morning, students. Today I talk about supplementary reader book, A Footprint Without Feet. In this book, I'll discuss first chapter, that is the Triumph of Surgery. Now this is written by James Herriot. Triumph of Surgery means what? The title leads us some questions. Here writer gave us some question, and the questions according to our textbook is which we need to read. Firstly, we have to read and then find out the answers in this supplementary reader. Actually, the main target of supplementary reader is that student read the story, find out the meaning, and then observe the result of that story. And in this way, this is a story about surgery. But sometime, what is happening in this Hippocratic society, that is finally described by James. Now this is a surgery. In this beginning, in the beginning of this chapter, we think that, oh, wow, triumph means winner, victory, and then surgery means some type of surgery will be fulfilled. But when we read the story, things change, just like aristocratic society. And here the author described the term aristocratic society's Hippocratic life, and that is the actual satire, actual essence of the story, and I want to discuss the actual essence. Now, what is the story according to the tagline? Here are some tagline which in the beginning of this chapter the writer gave, and that is tricky. The story is about a tricky. A small dog is pampered and overfed by his rich mistress. Now friends, here I remember if you have an idea of Paradise Lost is an epic written by Milton. But when the rape of the lock, in this there is a contradiction. It's also an epic, but in the satire way. And when the poet write the satire in that poem also, means the title is so aristocratic, when something like big thing is happen, and all the imaginaries, all the figures of speech, and all the language element, and you can say that ornamental language poet use. And after what is happening, nothing, just a trivial thing is happening. And in the same way, here also James described the chapter with aristocratic way, but ultimately, what is the real reason behind this surgery? What is the real factor? What way a doctor can deal with his patient? And that is the actual way that here James want to discuss with us. And sometimes what is happening, that the situation is in front of us, but due to our over pampering, we avoid the situation, we avoid the fact, and that is the drawbacks of our life, and that's the main failure of any situation, any discussion, any guidance. When you give even your children also, even your students also, sometimes it's just like a spoon feeding. In Indian society, the education is also just like spoon feeding, so these all things is happening here, and that is the triumph of surgery which we want to discuss. Triumph of surgery means what? Tricky. A small dog is pampered, overfed by his rich mistress. Now what is happening? Tricky. I again read the tagline. Here is a tagline, some of lines written before the beginning of the chapter. So tricky, a small dog is pampered, overfed by his rich mistress. He falls seriously ill, and his mistress consults a veterinary surgeon. Does he perform an operation? Does the dog recover? I again explain here, there are big questions for us. The writer gave us some questions. Now, what was the next target? So the writer's targeted read and find out. What we want to read here? So writer expects us that read and find out. Why is Mrs. Pampery worried about Tricky? First question. What does he do to help him? Is he wise in this? Who does I refer to in this story? Now this is about our writer. A writer gave us 3 questions. Mrs. Flattery worried about Tricky. Now trick, the name also gave some idea. Sometime in story the writer selects some names which also have some message, and here Tricky means what? Trick. Okay, so this our Tricky becoming happy, and the surgery of Tricky become fulfilled with the help of veterinary doctor, and it's only a trick and become the triumph of surgery is happening. This is the real way. Okay, now in this way writer start the story. Okay, so I go through the lines of our text. The first para, I just explain it. I was really worried about Tricky this time. I had pulled up my car when I saw him in the street with his mistress, and I was shocked at his appearance. He had become hugely fat, like a blotted sausage with a leg at each corner. His eyes bloodshot and rheumy stared straight ahead, and his tongue lolled from his jaws. Now this first paragraph, writer observed the Tricky's condition when, as a doctor, he know that, and at the same time also he become worried that why this thing is happening with Tricky, and he know that the last situation what will be happen at the end of the situation. So what happening in next, we go through it. Mrs. Flattery hastened to explain. He was so listless. Mr. Herriot, he seemed to have no energy. I thought he must be suffering from malnutrition. So I have been giving him some little extras between meals to build him up. Some malt and cod liver oil and a bowl of Horlicks at night to make him sleep. Nothing much real. Now this is happening with the Tricky. Okay, here I conclude 2 paragraphs. In this 2 paragraph, I just want to explain the beginning condition of Tricky, what will happen with Tricky, and what will happen with his mistress, and how a triumph of surgery going on. I will discuss in next part. This will be the first part, and you observe I begin the story with full of essence, full of what we can say, that imagination, satire, everything is happening in this story, and at the end we got a real triumph of surgery for Tricky. So in next part I will explain again this story. Thank you. I am Lena. Again I will come with this chapter. So observe and listen this video, and please subscribe. Thanks a lot.